Hey everyone, what's the crack? Lawrence here with the Heusinkveld shifter. This thing has buttons on it and everything, and it's got variable resistance and lots of really cool stuff. It's not just an average shifter, apparently. I'll be the judge of that. Let's do this. Okay, so straight away the box actually, it looks very nice. Discover the innovation, experience the innovation, feel the force. Now there's a lot of stuff to be saying about a sequential shifter. Sequential shifters are not generally that exciting. Now people swear by Heusinkveld stuff, and Heusinkveld really put a lot of passion and knowledge behind their products. They don't over engineer things, they don't overcomplicate things. Exceptional customer service and just longevity of products and happiness, and I've heard some great stories over the years. I've never had to use their customer service, but I'm sure someone in the comments is going to say something positive about their experience with Heusinkveld. We've got on the back here Smart Control Live as well, so they have an app that allows you to configure some stuff. What's cool about this is you've got various outputs. Like this shifter, even though you think it's only like 2 outputs, they claim that it has 10 outputs, so that's going to be interesting to see. How can something with forward and backward and only 3 buttons have 10 outputs? So we'll see that. Let's get it opened up. The box is quite nice. It's nicely presented. One thing of note as well, we see here on the box we've got their AMG Petronas partnership. Quite cool. It's their official esports partner. So that gives a lot of credibility, a lot of weight to it. Got a nice little, beautiful little envelope, lovely branded. I'm a sucker for branding. What else have we got in here? Oh, we've got a couple of stickers, a couple of Heusinkveld stickers. We've got one in each color. So they're quite nice if you like those on your rig. We've got information and tutorials. We've got mounting options here as well. So we should, it looks like there's a mounting plate with it as well. So, interesting stuff. I'll give that a read in a while. It all looks very well presented, pretty straightforward. You can also, just at a glance here, I can see 2 Allen keys going into the sides of this, which suggests that you can, change the resistance quite easily. They're little torques. Got an accessory box here. The accessory box contains a USB cable, as expected, and we've got, these are those torques that they were talking about. So we've got some torques in there, some Allen keys, we've got some mounting bolts as well. Fairly industrial mounting bolts, kind of like these ones with the built-in little washer type things. We've got some two T-slot nuts in there as well. Quite nice. Get this out of here and in here straight away. So one of my criticisms of, what was it? It was the Heusinkveld shifter. No, it was the Handbrake. The mounting plate, I didn't find that until way afterwards. Now, I should have done more homework. I should have known, but it wasn't super intuitive, and I'm sure people run into it. Here, we straight away, when we're taking this out, we see there is a mounting plate. So, nice one, Heusinkveld. I'm not sure if that is just for stupid people like me to know more about, or to have a more intuitive experience, or if that's just a convenient design consideration for your products. I don't know, for your packaging. So here we go. So we've got a Heusinkveld logo right here on the front. That's quite nice. So you only kind of see that from the front. This will be the part that's facing you, so it's quite nice. It'll always be on display for you. On the bench, this is always difficult to do. Whoa, okay. That is a clunk. That is almost damaging my my desk here. Wow, there's so much resistance on that. Like, let me just get some perspective here. If we just compare this to a Moza and to the V&M shifter here. So let's have a quick look here. This one. Get this one on here. Way less resistance. and then the V&M. The amount of resistance on this from the factory means business. Jesus, that's a lot. All right, let's put these away. They were just there for perspective. I'm also reviewing those at the moment. So it's great to have a couple of these on the go so that I can really, truly, properly compare them. One thing that sets this apart, even though you might have seen on the others, they have this neutral switch. Most games don't actually support a neutral switch, so you end up kind of mapping this to something else, like for resetting your car in rally or something. It's not really that useful as an actual neutral. But here, what they've done, if we look at the bottom here, you can see they've got little buttons on here. Nice little, there's a little bit of travel in them, which I quite like in a button. Not a huge amount of travel. They're not very clicky, they're not very cheap. When you wiggle them around, there is a little bit of movement in it, but you're not going to notice that. You can map these buttons to absolutely anything. Now, again, you've got forward and backward on the shifter, and you've got these 3, that's 5, but they claim 10 inputs. So there's a lot of cleverness going on here with how you use these. I'll explain more when we're on the rig, how you can, you know, double press them and stuff to get different, to assign multiple things to only 3 buttons. So they're really, really pushing the boundaries here. We can also see into the side of the casing here, we can see different bolts that can be adjusted. Because one of the cool things about this is you can, for example, when you're switching up gears, you may want to, usually you pull it towards you to go up gears. You may want that to be a very solid experience. But then when you're shifting down, you may be going down 2 or 3 gears. So you don't necessarily want that same resistance. This allows that, which is very, very, very cool. I still have to see how it works, but I know that this allows that. And that makes this very, very exciting, because rather than getting that linear, exact same feeling for up and down shifts, you have the choice to tune those individually. One thing that automatically I know that I'm not going to be super fond of is this grip. They have it on the handbrake as well. It just doesn't feel nice in my hand. It's not. I'd rather something round there. There's no real place for my fingers to slot into. They can't go in there. They can't go around it. There's no real molding for my fingers. And a big problem, I guess, well, maybe it is interchangeable. You can get this out. Maybe someone else can 3D print something or put something else on it. We saw with the Heusinkveld shifter that they do make aftermarket handles. I must actually show you guys that handle because it's pretty wild. So here we go. This is the Heusinkveld handbrake, and it's got this incredible looking handle on it. This handle alone is super expensive. It's by Eau Rouge. I'll let you guys Google the price of that and put it in the chat below. But I wasn't a huge fan of this. Eau Rouge saw my video. They said, well, we actually had the same problem. We built our own handle. It is not a fantastic handle. It is cool. I quite like the pink. I thought I was going to take that off straight away because it is real carbon fiber. It weighs almost nothing. But I would still like an actual proper knob or something to grip onto. This does grip better than this, but I can already tell you categorically now that I'm probably not going to get along with this handle. Whether it affects the performance or whether it affects how I feel with it in game, it might actually be perfect for sequential. It didn't work well for handbrake because for handbrake I was exerting a lot of force. Maybe I won't be doing as much here. Anyways, that's a hell of a lot to be saying about a sequential shifter. This is one of the more interesting ones. Let's get it on the rig, put it through its paces. So here we are in the rig. I got them installed. First thing I kind of noticed when I was installing them was that they're slightly they're quite different. So I've got these extra pieces of profile, which came in very handy. But if you want to mount your shifter with the Heusinkveld handbrake, okay, I've got a modified handle on here. That doesn't make a difference here. The handbrake has a big footprint, and the shifter has a nice small footprint. So the shifter does have a really nice footprint, but if I want to mount them like this is pretty much the ideal way for me to mount a handbrake and shifter. I can still shift without the handbrake getting in the way. I'm going to have to get my hand around it anyway. So when my hand is coming off it, I tend to I'll miss that handbrake. That's great. And the handbrake is still there, nice and close to the steering wheel. And when I grab that, the shifter isn't in the way. So this is the ideal way that I set up my handbrake and shifter. Some people set up the handbrake on the outside, but when you are using a handbrake, generally, if you're using a handbrake correctly, you're using it mid-corner generally. You would not need to shift. So if your shifter is in the middle between your handbrake and your steering wheel, the shifter actually just gets in the way, because you might do several corrections or adjustments of the handbrake in the corner when you're not necessarily shifting. You're definitely not going to be upshifting, so you can do a quick downshift like that. And I guess that brings us to the sound here. The first thing that I really notice, and again, I don't know if you guys can hear this, sometimes it's hit and miss with noise cancellation and stuff. That is loud. That is really loud. It's chunky, it's beefy, it's what people want from a shifter, from a feel point of view for sure. That definitely resonates to other rooms in my house. It's quite loud. My whole rig is kind of feeling all that. I'm not sure if there's a way to dampen that noise. I will have to find that out from my long-term review. This is just the first impressions. And one thing that I really love about this, and I will note it even though I'm not going to play with it in this video, you can adjust the weight, the resistance of the downshift independently of the upshift. So upshifts tend to be quite a really satisfying, clunky thing that you do once, pause, whereas a downshift, you want to go click, click, click. Now, that actually felt really good, even on the downshift when I did it like that. When I'm holding it like this, maybe it's slightly more effort. When you put it feels good for now. I love to run stuff in the default form, the default way it comes from the factory. That's generally how the company wants you to use it. So that's why I do it. And a thing of note that sets this apart from a lot of other shifters is it's got these buttons at the bottom here. So I already have them mapped to some in-game stuff like the toe to pits. They actually hear it just starting up there. I've got my speed limiter on there as well. And I haven't mapped this one to anything, but I trust it. And you can also map these to multiple functions. I'll have a quick look at that. I think I can do that in the software. I don't know. I'm going to go look at the software. So let's install the software and have a quick look at what that brings to us, because I've never installed the Smart Control Live software. That is the name of the Heusinkveld software. So I'm interested to see what it brings to the table. One thing of note, you don't actually need that software. So I like that. These are plug and play devices. You don't need the software. If you want extra functionality and customizability, that's what the software is for. So let's dive into that. So the first thing we see in the software is these are profiles, presets. Okay, pretty intuitive. I can add a preset, call it LD. Go here. Or you can do so you can change presets on the fly. I think why they do that, and if memory serves me correctly, is if you want to, let's say it starts raining and you want to load a different profile for your brake pedal because it's raining, you can do that with a simple shortcut. Obviously you can bind that keyboard shortcut then on a Stream Deck or a button box or whatever. So I'm just going to do a random one here, Alt and H. Oh, there are actions. Add a device for input binding. So you can set different devices. Okay, I don't know much about this. I'll figure this out over time. I'm not sure if it's needed right now. I see a big exclamation mark here. The handbrake has unsupported firmware. Interesting. And no button to just intuitively update that. Is my race going to be ruined because my hardware, my handbrake doesn't have the right firmware? I would guess that the handbrake firmware is just for profiles in here. So I'm not going to waste this video talking about that, but I would like a one-click upgrade here like you see in a lot of other software systems, because I think that this is like a convoluted, long, kind of a very manual. I mean, once you know how to do it, it'll probably be easy. But right now, I'm completely deterred from upgrading my handbrake firmware. I'd like if it was just a button. So I don't think there's much that I can get from the software here. I can't see anything. The Magshift, it says it's normal. Input bindings, that's all I have here. I don't understand the difference between Smart Control and Smart Control Live. It's just I don't really feel that need. Now, I'm not a Heusinkveld pedals user. I've never... I have reviewed the Heusinkveld Sprints a while back, but I've not used them in a long time. So only after I showed you the software section did I actually realize that there are two apps open. And it was a little bit confusing, Smart Control and Smart Control Live. I was looking at Smart Control Live, but there's a whole other app called Smart Control. Now this is the one that allows us to do the various buttons. So there's lever pull. It's showing the inputs. And it allows you to do a primary output and a secondary output. So when released, hold. Well, okay, so, but I'm not going to be pressing the buttons. Maybe I'm just a little bit slow here. I'm not going to be pressing the buttons while I'm pulling the lever, right? Maybe I'm being a little slow here. When pulled, when released. Hold button 1. Okay, this must be for like changing profiles and stuff. I thought, maybe just an assumption from me, I thought that maybe like a double press would be a different input. So you like press it twice quickly and it is actually a completely separate input. Or if you press and hold, it's a separate input. This looks like it's only in combination with the lever. And I honestly can't see how that's useful. Doubling your outputs. Holding the lever or buttons for a configurable amount of time. Okay. Back on track. Okay, that's like going back to neutral. Typing trainer. Interesting stuff. There's never been a more aggressive way of controlling your media player. I love it. Office offender. What's this doubling your outputs? Okay, I'm going to apply this preset. Ah. Okay, so it doesn't have to be... Oh, that's cool. Okay, so I'm only pressing the first button here. That's very cool. Okay, so the left button, if I click it once, so this is exactly what I expected. So I'm quite happy about that. If I click it once, you see this one go green. If I press and hold it, this one goes. So that's like great for teleport to the pits or whatever. So that's exactly what I wanted. I'm just, maybe this is not intuitive, or else I'm just an idiot. I'll let you guys decide. This is exactly what I expected, and that's exactly what I wanted. I love that. So that is cool. Oh, you can do it for the levers as well. That is very cool. Oh, I love that. Okay, so if I want to do, you know, you've got upshift for pulling towards you, downshift pushing away from you. If you upshift, but then you want to go to neutral, and you can't, if you can map neutral, you can just pull and hold, and it'll go into neutral, and you could actually map the same thing for your downshift. Love it. This is really cool. Loving the presets, and I just didn't find the Smart Control. I still don't really know the difference between Smart Control and Smart Control Live. I don't know why it can't be one app. Answers on a postcard. I don't know, but that explains that. So let's take a car out on the track. One thing that I don't know if I've noticed, if I've said yet, is the handle. I didn't like the handle on the handbrake. It's the exact same handle. I wonder how that's going to affect me, but it doesn't feel nice in my hand. I'm just not a big fan of it. It's fine for smashing it down, but when I'm actually pulling up, it's not an ergonomic shape in any way or form. It just feels kind of plasticky and square. It's not something that I like to like. I much prefer something that's just round. or something that has dimples in it for my hand, or even a ball or something. I prefer to this, but just a simple round stick would be fine. So let me see if I can remember how to drive this car. So it's flat shift, and I believe you have to give a little bit of throttle on the downshift. Oh, this is already very immersive. All right, expect the smile to get bigger now. Oh man, this is, and if I bin it, I get to use that return to pits button. Ooh, there we go. Let's that was for demonstration purposes. There we go, return to pits. Okay. It feels great. I mean, I have to give it props there. Definitely, like, right away up there with one of the better sequential shifters. I'm not too excited about sequential shifters. This is definitely better than any of the combo sequential shifters that I've ever used. Straight away, just it has a lovely clunk. It feels quite authentic. The downshifts are very rewarding as well. There's no play on it at all when you just pull it. So the second you start pulling it, you need to put a lot of force on it, which makes the gear change quite aggressive, which is actually quite rewarding, you know. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. The buttons are handy to have as well. Like, especially if you have a very authentic steering wheel that doesn't have a lot of buttons on it. Even though I think the Radical steering wheel might have 1 or 2 buttons on it for radio communication and stuff, it is handy to have things on here, maybe your wiper tear off or whatever, things that the real car wouldn't necessarily have. This car is so much fun, and this adds so much immersion to it. I know it's, you know, it's not quick, it's not any quicker than using flappy paddles, but it's not about that. People buy a sequential shifter obviously as a real life training tool, but also just to mimic the real deal as much as possible. That was hairy. Mimic the real deal as much as possible. God, it really feels so cool. It feels better while driving than it did. That was a bad line. It feels better while driving than it does while not driving. Usually it's quite a consistent thing, but I understand the shifter more while I'm driving a car, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but it makes sense to me. It's a super immersive, more immersive than I expected it to be. Obviously, before I started driving, I gave it a quick bit of movement to see if the mounting was all good. But it feels so just, yeah, good and authentic. We'll see now some aggressive downshifts coming into this corner. Oh, that's not that one. I should really pay more attention. It's difficult to review a product while driving a complex track in a crazy car. Should be 2 aggressive downshifts here as well. Like, that is nice. Now, I have my butt kickers and my haptic feedback all switched off, and this is giving a similar thud to what a butt kicker does. So if any of you have gear shift enabled on a tactile transducer, this actually sends a very similar vibration. Like, I can feel that under my seat because it's all going through the rig. It's really cool. It's a very, oh, that was a terrible line. It's a very very authentic experience. Surprisingly good. Like, I mean, I reviewed Heusinkveld's previous sequential shifter. Oh, that is not ideal. I reviewed their previous sequential shifter, and it was, you know, it was really good for like simulating a tight, like a very cramped cockpit, because it was very small, tiny form factor, but it didn't have that impressive oomph factor. Now for its size, it was mighty, but this is different level altogether. And I like that they've gone to extra effort with the buttons. They will prove extremely handy. In fact, I usually have a control panel here. A button box, and I've actually gotten rid of it because I want to force myself to use the Heusinkveld buttons. Oh, maybe if I pay attention to the track. It's really not easy thinking about what I need to say for this video while also navigating a track like this in a car like this. Probably not a great, you can see how lively the car is, and it's on default setup. There's nothing amazing happening there, this is like a timed lap. I don't care about the time. This is not my quickest driving. It's all about just getting this reviewed and getting this review kicked off and just learning more about this product, because I have it on the lowest setting, as in the lowest mounting setting. You can have it higher, but I like my handbrake to be maybe just slightly higher than my shifter. This is one of the tallest sequential shifters. Yeah, I've not had many that are this high. Probably the other one is the Mecha, is quite high, but I really need to get all those shifters side by side so you can like hear the difference. This one is super impressive so far. Yeah, just that's a lovely experience, lovely shifting experience. I'm not going into detail on the handbrake again because I have actually already reviewed this handbrake in isolation, but I think people who own the shifter are likely to own the handbrake, so having them together on the rig, it's one of the reasons that I hang on to a lot of equipment while it's still relevant. Some of the equipment goes to real race car drivers, but it's great to be able to have the ecosystem together so that I'm not, you know, I don't have a competitor's handbrake right beside it here. So yeah, let's go into the summary. So there you have it, first impressions of this handbrake. The handle, I'm not delighted with. I don't like that Heusinkveld handbrake. They had it handle. They had it on the handbrake as well. I changed it out for this. This is a mod from Eau Rouge. It does bring the price of the handbrake up significantly. It doesn't look like I can change this handle easily, like you could with the. It's, well, maybe might be able to. I don't know. I'll see how that. You know, I'll see if there is another handle. But the expense of this handbrake, would I actually buy this handbrake and buy this handle? Probably not. There are a lot of cheaper alternatives. The Heusinkveld handbrake on its own is a good handbrake. It's not absolutely perfect for me. I have it mounted in the, I guess, the T formation right now. So the handbrake mechanism is perpendicular. You can also run it in the kind of J configuration. That I found had a kind of a little bit of a pull down. This handbrake, it feels a lot better when it's in this configuration. That's just a tip for if you do use that handbrake, or if you are thinking of buying that handbrake, mounting it like this is quite nice. But it is nice to have the choice as well. And this shifter, the two of them side by side, I have them on a piece of SimLab profile here. It's a very, very tight fit. They're very close together. So not ideal that they have kind of different mounting positions. I would love to see a fairly universal mounting plate from Heusinkveld, or some way to, because people who buy this are likely to buy this. Are they likely to have this extra profile? Maybe not. Maybe just even 2 blocks of mounting profile and some angle brackets would be a great, you know, mounting kit to sell with these two, so that you can do something like this, mount them in whatever configuration on your horizontal bar there, and that's just an idea. But they don't offer that, and I did find it just a little bit clunky to mount. It's a different paradigm. For the handbrake, they have these kind of wings at the side that go outwards onto a plate that allows you to angle it, And then for the shifter, they have a bracket that goes under it and mounts into the side, so it lifts it. It allows you to adjust the height, which I do like. Some people will want to adjust that height for sure. I have it at this feels like a really good height for me, for the likes of supercars, for the likes of rallycross, even for radicals. This is a nice height for me. It's kind of the height of the center of my steering wheel. I quite like that. My overall impressions, I'm very surprised pleasantly. The immersion when you're in the car is amazing. I forget how much noise it's making when I'm in the car, but I'm going to have to ask my wife if she, heard this. She's working in the other side of the house. If she heard the clunking from this, because I would be surprised if she didn't. I can turn down this resistance. I don't know yet how that's going to affect the feel of the device. They're all things that will be in my long-term review. If you have particular things that you want to see, do ask me, and I will tell you to the best of my knowledge. As soon as I know, I will try to answer those questions, and I will put them into my long-term review because they're your concerns. That, for now, is about it for the first impressions of the Maglink Heusinkveld shifter. It's a pretty cool piece of kit. Right now I see a nice, happy, couple of months reviewing this. I'm Lawrence. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. UK and Irish time. You can find links to this product in the description. I'm Lawrence. I'll chat you later. And this is Splat. She'll chat you later too. Good luck.